Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mysterious Darkness. I'm Kanan,
Jesse.
and this is episode number 3. So, tonight's episode, we're going to be talking about a little famous haunting. And it's the perfect night to do it. It's raining outside. We've heard a little bit of thunder. It's a perfect night for a ghost story. Now, this episode's a little late in the week. Usually we've been uploading on Saturdays, and that's because staying at home this whole time, the days are kind of getting mixed together.
That and with the on and off weird weather, the internet's been kind of
Yeah.
funny.
Internet's been acting up. We've actually been sitting here for like 20 minutes waiting for the internet to come back because of the weather. So, if you have not seen the other 2 episodes, this is pretty much a podcast style show where we talk about all the bad stuff. Well, not bad stuff, but the true crime stuff is the bad stuff. The rest of it's hauntings and stuff like that. It's pretty much a spoopy show. So a little update. In our first episode, we talked about our personal appearances. What the heck am I talking about? We ain't important enough yet to be doing that. Our personal paranormal experiences. Plus, we talked about a local haunt that not a lot of people know about. It's mostly just a local thing. We actually decided to go by the place. We found it and drove up to it, and Jess claims that the feeling she got from the place has nothing to do with her prior knowledge of this house.
Because I didn't even know I was looking at the right house anyway.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I thought it was a different house.
As we were pulling up to it, I was like, there it is. And she was like looking somewhere completely different. She was like, is that it? I was like, no, it's right in front of us.
As soon as I looked at it, we got close to it. I'm just like, nope.
I asked her, do you want to stop in front of the house, take some pictures, because the house is foreclosed. There's nobody living there. So you could have easily walked up and took a picture inside the house from a window. She didn't want no part of it.
I wouldn't even go in the driveway.
Yeah. It had an amazing. It does like we said in the last episode. It does have an amazing view of the lake.
It does. It's just.
Yeah, she did not like it.
Nope.
Also, a little plug, I'm guessing. You want to talk about your masks?
Well, I mean, they're just masks, but I mean, I do on our Etsy page, I have a listing for washable face masks that have pockets in them. I have several of them already made, or just that need elastic that I've been digging out of my own stock because everywhere fabric and elastics has started to become like non-existent.
Yeah, and if you want a specific design, she can make it.
I have some solid colors. I can always hand paint something on it, and I mean it's fabric paint, so I mean.
Because you made a Star Wars one, she made me a Bumblebee one from Ruby.
I haven't really made any other personal ones besides I went a little extra on Oakley's little mask.
That's my little niece.
And I embroidered some flowers and put some bumblebee buttons on it because that's her qualification for bling, is decoration.
Great niece, I guess I should say.
But yeah, I mean,
and they're $15, right?
Yeah,
free shipping.
For the U.S., it's free shipping. If it's outside the U.S., there is shipping just because of the cost of everything.
Because right now, it's you can't find them. It's getting to the point.
I know they're not the best. They don't protect you from everything, but they're better than nothing. And mine have pockets in them that you can actually put the stuff, like filters and stuff inside of them. You can wash them. And so it's... I mean, I've been encouraged by several people. I mean, I've made a ton of them for his sister.
She paid you for them, too.
Yeah, I'm making them for, my parents... At least, my mom and my stepdad. My dad's wife's a nurse, so she's got masks at the house. So.
Plus, I mean, fabric's getting hard to find.
For me for me to even finish things that are not related to, the masks, I can't do it because everything's sold out, or I can't find it in store, or the shipping's is still taking time to get to me. I was gonna make a couple dresses that I was going to do videos for, and those are postponed now because the fabric, and it's not even the right fabric for masks. There, it's all sold out online. I can't finish a childhood quilt that my mom gave me the pieces to because I can't find the base fabric to put in the back. I can't find interfacing to finish a lot of things. So, yeah.
So you've gotten a good bit of orders for them.
Yeah. You can message me on anything. You can either go through the Etsy store or you can message me. And if you want to not go through the Etsy store, you can go through we have a PayPal. I mean...
Yeah, because as of right now, this is the only way we're really making any money.
Yeah, right now... my business at home, sewing through Etsy, as a seamstress, that's why I got a little mad at Walmart seeing, all the fabric on, because this is my job, at home. This is the only way I'm making money, and
besides unemployment,
which isn't much of anything, but it helps feed us at least.
Yeah, until everything opens back up. Also, I guess a little plug. I released a Easter-themed Let's Play of Stardew Valley today. So please make sure you go watch that. I hope we caught that. She's terrified of storms. Anyway, let's get on.
One last thing for me before we get started is Tuesday coming. I'm starting my mock-up videos of Liara from Mass Effect 3. I actually have some green fabric. I may try to make her Mass Effect 1 too, but those are coming this week. I just need to get the voiceover, and hopefully the power doesn't start going out because of storms coming. Then I can't record it all.
Yeah, a lot of stuff's going up on the channel this week just because we've got the free time.
Hopefully my Ada Glove video will too.
Yeah, we've got the free time. Also, real quick, for fans of my Kanan's Nights of Horror video, I've decided I'm just going to focus on one game at a time from now on, just because it's just easier. It's easier than me just trying to find a game to play and all that. So I'm going to mostly just play Amnesia: The Dark Descent until I beat it. If I can't find anything after that, I'm just going to play custom stories. Also, I'm going to incorporate other fun games, like I did a Let's Play of Geometry Dash the other day, more Stardew Valley. I've got another game lined up I'm going to start playing. But, yeah, let's get to the meat of the episode.
Now, if anyone has a fix for how to play Siberia 1 from Steam on a new laptop, email me, because I'll actually do a Let's Play of that. I haven't played the original in years.
And you've never been able to get it to play
and
on
I can't
your
get it to
computer.
work, so if anyone knows how to fix that, message me. Anyways, okay.
Oh,
so
and thank you guys for the views of the first two episodes of this series. They're both over 100 views, which I didn't think we'd get that much starting out.
Okay, on to the actual video.
Yeah. Mysterious Darkness, episode 3.
This video is actually is going to be on one of the most haunted house in America.
Yeah.
And
one of the most famous ones.
The Sally House.
Yes, and that's in Atchison, Kansas, right?
Yes.
I first heard about, this was probably...
I first heard of it on a haunting.
That's the first time you heard about it?
I think so.
I heard about it, a long time ago. This was probably the first most famous ghost story in America that I heard of. I heard it, back in the 90s on a little show called Sightings. If any of you don't remember Sightings, it was like one of the first really big shows that got popular that dealt with ghosts and UFOs. There was Unsolved Mysteries, but Unsolved Mysteries didn't focus on ghosts and stuff as much as Sightings did. So that's where I first heard of it, and it creeped me the hell out because I was just a kid, and that drawing that he did kind of creeps me out still to this day. But that's when I first heard about it. I know it's always been considered one of the more famous hauntings in America.
Yeah, I think a haunting, the episode of that, which I will put a link in the description if I find one, or at least the episode and season of that one, because that's where I first really heard about it. I will also put a link to the website that I've gotten all the basic information off of, Now, there's been many paranormal and ghost shows that have gone over this. They've all told pretty much the same story with their own details of things, because, I mean, most of these, they all went and looked at this house themselves, so... But, starting with the history of this house, the historical timeline of this house, it didn't really reveal any tragic events at first.
No, there's a lot of theories what could
trigger
came
all this,
from,
yeah,
and where it all came from. There's conflicting theories.
So this house, the Sally House, was built for Michael Finney in 1867. The Finney family lived there on and off until roughly 1947.
It was built in 1867.
Mm-hmm.
It's a few years after the Civil War ended.
So
it's
very
an
old house.
Very old.
But there was at least 4 deaths that were confirmed to be under natural cause, which would be, this is M.C. Finney, 1872, Charles James Catherines, which is the father of Kate Finney, 1874, Richard Edwin Finney, 1874, and Agnes, I think that's how that's pronounced.
Yes.
Finney, 1939.
So those last couple of deaths, they happened relatively around the same time.
And after the Finneys left the property, the house was owned and rented by various people. So,
like most houses are these days.
But the hauntings, it says the hauntings didn't start until, Tony and Deborah Pickman rented the house in 1992. So
that's
there's
the
a
thing.
Huge gap. So something had to have happened in between that time.
Yeah, so there was no reporting of any kind of haunting by the people who lived in this house before Tony and Deborah moved in, which, I mean, we'll get into the theories later, but it kind of points to it might have been a poltergeist. Because poltergeists are based around people, a certain people. So that kind of fuels
that,
the
or
poltergeist.
the years, that huge gap in between of all the renters and people. We don't know what any of those people did. There could have been somebody in that house that was doing something demonic or satanic, and we wouldn't have known.
Yeah.
Because it was never reported. And, I mean, if somebody did that, no one's going to report that. Like, the last people that lived there before them could have done something.
Yeah, because that's another theory that it was an evil spirit.
Okay, let's see. This says the Pickmans claim that the paranormal activity in the house began slowly. So, with objects moving in their child's room, lights going on and off, eventually, visited by a ghostly, girl. As time passed, Tony Pickman became focused of a violent haunting, the focus of it. So things were happening to him. He'd get scratches, he'd nightmares, later on demonic, oppression. So, I mean, he suffered a lot, and actually they showed that really well in Haunting. And it was creepy. I mean, I've even seen, it's been a long time since I've actually seen the drawing. It is very, very disturbing, but even pictures of when this happened. There's nothing that can duplicate that.
I remember in the Haunting episode, they said, another thing that started happening was their TV turning on and off by itself and stuff like that. But yeah, I remember sightings showing the pictures, and I think a Haunting used some of the actual pictures in the episode. Of course, they were copies.
Copies and...
And Tony thought someone might have spilt something on the pictures, but she pointed out in the episode, I don't know if she did in real life, in the episode, that what was ever in the photos was in the print. It wasn't just something that was spilt onto it.
Yeah, and the scratch, they had also said that, the scratches, they weren't anything you could just duplicate.
I remember there was a show, it was just one of those random ghost shows called, Most Haunted Places in America or something, and there was a skeptic on there who said he knew of a way that scratches could be duplicated, and the dude took some red colored water and done it like this, drew a line on his arm that looked like a scratch. Problem is, it didn't look it looked like beaded water on his arm, where in the Pickman pictures and video of his scratches, you can see him bleeding from them.
Yeah, that, and I did see, I can't find the link to it, and it's been a long time, but there also has been other experts and stuff that have, along with the others that have, toured and explored this house to see things, and they got the original pictures of the scratches. They would do several tests of different types of, animal claws, objects to recreate the scratches, and they couldn't do it. No matter what they did, they couldn't recreate them.
Another thing that I remember specifically from, and it's wild because this has been decades ago, and I still remember this. The show Sightings, they actually brought like animals to the house to see if this thing would scratch them. I remember them having a snake and holding the snake up, seeing if the ghost would scratch the snake. It was wild. Yeah.
Talk about harming animals.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, look, like, tell you the truth, it's like paranormal investigating and even police investigations, they're like, even back in the 80s and 90s, they still used some very primitive ways of, like, in Unsolved Mysteries, they would take witnesses and put them under hypnosis to try and get them to remember. Like, you don't hear about that at all anymore in police investigations. They don't put people under hypnosis anymore. But they did it as early as the 80s and 90s. Like, it's wild how far stuff has come in such a short amount of time. But, yeah, like, people today would be raising hell about that. That poor snake. Oh, my God.
But, that, and like, an attempt for him to, to get help, they invited numerous, psychics.
And originally
to the
he
house.
didn't want help.
Yeah, originally he didn't want the help, but they...
Because he was scared that it would, like, stir something up even more.
But like he said, in an attempt to finally get help, they've invited numerous psychics, and, they go to the TV shows, and, like, for the paranormal teams and stuff, and...
It even says there, TV show sightings.
Yeah, TV show sightings, and it says in one episode, psychic Peter James concluded that the ghost's name was Sally and was responsible for the haunting.
That dude has a very unique look. You remember it from the episode? He had silver gray hair, but a charcoal black mustache. It was like
it was a look.
I wonder if he's still alive. Apparently he was, like, I'm just going to say was, just in case he has passed away, because that was a long time ago. The dude was pretty legit from what I've heard. Like,
he was pretty spot on with a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like,
he wasn't like one of these psychics that was easily, just said, they're a fraud.
Yeah, no. But he had said James believed that Sally died of acute appendicitis at the hands of Dr. Charles Finney.
The people who used to live there.
The people, the house... That was their house. I mean, the Pickmans, after living at the house for 2 years, eventually moved from the house and removed from the home and to remove themselves from the haunting. So they got out of there and just didn't look back.
Yeah. Now let's go a little. Like, I do remember some aspects of the haunting, like from the show and other things I've seen. Now,
I know that when the baby was born, something almost fell in the crib on the baby.
Yes.
So it was going... at that point, they left not far after that, because that's when things got serious and they called for help.
Now, one thing I don't think this one points out is, according to the haunting episode, they had a female psychic come in first, like when it very first started, and she's the one who said the little girl's name was Sally. Now, apparently Deborah was intrigued by the whole thing. She went to the store, bought toys for the ghost and stuff like that.
Yes, she was actually, because the first woman, I remember, she had said, it's a child, make it feel comfortable, make her feel accepted. I think she bought, they set up another bed or a crib. It was a bed for her or something.
Gave her her own little space.
Her own space, toys, things that a child would want. And they'd put it in a circle, but the thing is I really think, seeing it wasn't just, it was either more than this child that died in this house, or something disguising itself as a child in this house to get the attention.
there's been others who've kind of criticized the first skeptic, saying that she probably was just feeding, like, well, like the cold reading, like you toss something out, you see what the response is, and you build off that.
Because at first the toys kind of slightly worked.
Yeah.
But...
And apparently she was very protective of the baby. And here's the thing, though. Like, Deborah was all about the ghost. She wanted to see it. She wanted to experience it. She was all into it. Tony was not. He didn't want anything to do with it. He thought it was evil. At first he didn't believe in it.
Well, he didn't believe in it, and then when he started seeing things, he said this isn't, pretty much wanted her to stop feeding into this, buying toys, doing this stuff because it was feeding in, and honestly, she probably was making it worse.
Well, and
the anger in the house.
And of course, like the original, I think one of the first theories was that since he didn't want anything to do with the ghost, Sally didn't like him, and like every time he would go toward the baby, she was protecting the baby by scratching him. But then you have other reports that I think it was. The other
James.
James, who discovered there was another entity in the house, which was an older woman, and she was the one doing all the attacking. Now, there's conflicting reports, because like I said, this was back in the day when paranormal stuff still wasn't taken very seriously. It was still kind of crackpot stuff.
Yeah, which, like I said, that's why I think either it could, the one or two things, it could be, there was obviously two entities in this house. There was the child and the older woman. Or there was the old woman using the child as because
Tony saw Sally.
Yes, but using it as a
pretty much like a cover.
Presenting herself as a little girl, but really she's not.
Yeah, because Tony said he saw her in the kitchen. And apparently Deborah was all upset that Sally showed herself to him and not her. And he did draw what Sally looked like. It's a very famous drawing. All you gotta do is Google Sally ghost drawing or something like that, and it'll show up. It's supposed to be a cute little girl, but it's kind of creepy in a way. But
yeah, but I mean that's. How else can you draw a ghost? It's gonna look creepy either way, even if it is a little girl.
Well,
but the thing is,
drawings of little girls are creepy anyway.
But either way, honestly, in my opinion, I think there was two, and I think was that old woman in there too, and we don't know where she came from. I don't think there was a name ever figured out of what that older woman was. The little girl,
there's theories on who she was.
And there was, but the thing is we know. The little girl, there was proof that little girl existed. I mean, so that little girl did die. Therefore, the little girl was there, but the older woman, I don't know.
And then, of course, you have, like it said, the whole possessive oppression of Tony, where he started feeling violent and wanting to hurt Deborah.
And that would have been from that other entity, which that's what leads me to believe that something was, before they moved into the house, in that time gap, before them, something had to have happened, something had to have been brought into the house that was never documented. Because, I mean, come on, if it was something attached to somebody, and they moved in that house, it's already attached to them. It's not going to turn around and bother them, because it was already always there to begin with, and they left it behind somehow. So, which happens. So, I mean, that entity could have saw a little girl, decided to follow her around. Mm-hmm. So the next family would,
We'll probably get into that later when we discuss what we think might happen.
Yeah.
So, what's next?
Say legends versus facts. Urban legends versus facts for this. It says that there's no factual evidence to support Peter James' story. But the thing is that I've heard otherwise.
Yeah,
there was proof that little girl did exist.
Yeah. I think they did find a grave, but it was so worn.
It was so worn they couldn't really understand it or read it. But the thing is this article, I think, obviously came out, 2012. So it's, obviously, I've seen information since then. Yeah. So it's been
not much has happened in the case for a while. I don't even know if anyone lives there right now.
But one of the things is that we can verify that the paranormal activity originated with the Pickmans.
Okay, so
something followed
that
from somewhere.
Like there's that, or like maybe it was dormant and they did something, or it was a poltergeist. But we'll get into that later.
Says because it's, and again, it says there was no past claims of paranormal activity on the property. Thing is
And I remember a show.
we don't know that though.
Well, I do remember in one of those, that same ghost show that I saw with a skeptic, they went to the house, and the woman who currently lived there said nothing had ever happened while she was living there. So,
But I mean, like, from all the people that probably did live there in that huge time gap, we don't know. Like, if nothing's reported, then we can't say anything. Excuse me. It says, we do know that that a pentagram was found in the basement by the current owner,
I never heard that story.
after the Pickmans moved out. So, but the thing is I know how it said that, it originated with the Pickmans, but the thing is, that had to have been there before them. Because
unless they were into some messed up stuff themselves.
Yeah, unless there was things in there that we didn't know of.
I can see it now. They both got drunk one night. I was like, hey, let's go in the basement and, like, do some freaky shit.
But this also leads me to believe that this happened before they moved into that house. Because, I mean, it doesn't say that it originated with them. Like, or it says it originated with them, but it doesn't say that they caused it. So that's where it leads me to with my theory again, that the people that were just before them did something. Maybe. And because that's why I also thought, and there's on this page, if you look into it, there is actually a picture of the pentagram in the basement.
But it says right there are no pictures of the pentagram before it was covered up with black spray paint. So that's kind of conflicting.
Yeah, so.
They kind of contradicted themselves there.
Yeah, I don't think they read through that.
Who knows?
But it says it was, painted over, but, by who? So who did it and who painted over it?
Uh-huh. Now this next part is a little interesting. Shortly after.
Yeah, shortly after the pentagram was covered up, another ritual was done. This picture shows...
Oh, okay.
Okay, so there we go. This is from after that. This picture shows that satanic rituals have taken place in this house after the first pentagram was spray painted over. But by who?
Somebody like, this is a famous case, so somebody went in there trying to see. Yeah,
and decided to see, let's see what we can do with this.
That, or they just, like, who knows, like, that, or
they
maybe...
They just painted it on the ground.
Yeah, and left. Like, who knows, like, just to get, like, to freak out whoever moved in and came down there and saw a pentagram.
But when we get back more into our theories towards the end, we'll touch back on this, because I really think what I had said is pretty close to things.
Depends on how easy the house is to break into.
Yeah. But it says, regardless, there's physical evidence that we've gathered during numerous investigations that we can
substantiate.
Yeah. According to luminol tests we have conducted in the house, there's evidence of blood spatter in the master bedroom closet. The luminol even found demonic
sigils
on the walls and apertures. In 2012, we discovered a bloody sweater in the attic of the house. Could these physical clues be cause of the haunting?
That's interesting. I've never heard that part. So they found blood spatter in a closet, and they found a bloody sweater in the attic.
And I know people are going to say, oh, well, that could have easily just,
I mean, it could have been planted.
How could the last people not see this?
Yeah.
Okay, there's places in a house where if you move into and you don't, that are easily missed, they can be looked over.
I don't know. A bloody sweater would... depends on how much you go up in the attic.
Depends on the attic. If it's anything like...
Hours, you don't go up there unless you get, like, decorations or something.
Well, the way the picture of this house looked, it was small. So the attic would have had... Like, the attic would have been shaped to the top of the house, most likely, and you would have had those little areas that you would not have seen things in.
Yeah, if it's an attic where you could walk around, like, had an actual floor, I'd call bullshit on that.
But the way as small as this house is, it's not a full-size attic. You can tell by the top where the window is. It's
so
slanted with the roof.
Did the pigments never go up in the attic?
They probably just, if they'd used it, they probably just shoved some boxes up there and pulled them down.
Now, blood splatter, I can understand why you wouldn't see it, because you don't see it.
Once it's clean, you wouldn't see it, but it still leaves traces.
Well, yeah, blood doesn't. You can clean it up, but it leaves a. Huh, that's interesting. Do they follow up on any of that, like what they at all, what they might have thought happened?
We have concluded that there is no single hotspot where the paranormal activity is more likely to occur. Any part of the house can be active at any time, with unexplainable phenomena. The master bedroom, the closet, Sally's room, staircase, living room, kitchen, and basement all can feature extreme amounts of paranormal activity. Some of the paranormal activity that we have documented in our live paranormal investigations on video included. So there is a video in here that they've included.
And I guess that's all the stuff that they.
Yeah, this is what is included in that video. This is dark moving shadows are visible to the human eye, unexplained voices that are heard or captured on audio, violent physical attacks. What is that word?
Ectoplasm.
Electronic failures, strange electromagnetic field fluctuations, hot cold spots, nightmares, depression, poltergeist activity, feelings of being choked, and demonic possession.
Okay, see, the one problem I have there is them claiming there's paranormal poltergeist activity, because the thing is, poltergeists are. It's not really a ghost in a way. It's more of a consciousness kind of thing. Like, there has to be a focus for a poltergeist. It's like let's say you and your parents moved into a house that has no history of being haunted, but all of a sudden stuff starts getting moved around and all that. That's usually a poltergeist, and 9 times out of 10, the poltergeist focus would have been you, because and you just don't know it. Like, the poltergeist focus causes the stuff, they just don't realize it happens. So unless one of the people on this team is a poltergeist focus, I don't know about that, because like, a lot of people think a poltergeist is just a ghost, and it's not. I don't know about that.
Yeah, I'm not sure about some of those things, but like, I know all the stuff before that, like the nightmares, the violent attacks, all of that stuff has been documented by pretty much every team, or documentation that from families that have been there or something, or people that have been there. They've all said the same things: the violent attacks, the shadows, the unexplained stuff, cold spots, nightmare, feeling depression, now also they're feeling choked.
So
that was stuff that's been listed, and that's the common thing through all the ghost shows that I've found, all the history I've looked through, all the websites, all of them have those in common. So that seems to be a common ground here, which leads back to that old woman that was mentioned, that we don't know where she came from.
So, no hauntings reported before the Pickmans, but while they're there, and then after they've left, it's just continued. So let me see what else we've got. It does show some videos that they have linked here. When this team that did this, when they first investigated, which was in 2007. Let's see. That says the house was believed to have human spirits.
Yeah, to only have human spirits. However, over time, with more research, it is understood that the haunting is demonic. The demonic activity at the Sally house is hazardous, and numerous investigators from all over the country have experienced it. Some of the types of demonic activity that we caught in the videos include
demonic voices.
Yeah, demonic voices, which there's a video on here that it says demonic laugh has been caught on tape, and it was during the daytime in the dark basement. Demon physical attacks, which that's the same thing we know has happened. See what I mean? Like, I'll try to pull up a picture when I go through and edit this, but you'll see if you go up to the website, the house has the really weird roof shape. So, and you can see a tiny window at the top. So it's a very oddly shaped attic. So when the floor is up there, there's spaces where the beams come down from the roof shape that anything could be forgotten or hidden in there. So I believe that's probably where it was found, that sweater. Demonic possession. And it's, this team says it was used a Ouija board.
Yeah. I don't put a lot of stock in Ouija boards. Personally, I don't believe...
I don't like them.
I personally
don't believe in them, but if...
because I don't believe in them because, I'm sorry, a board game company makes them.
They do now, but, I'm kind of iffy on that because I do know that I've seen things, in the past, not personally, but videos and stuff of things where not the company made board game, like something made from scratch out of wood from like somebody who practices like witchcraft and stuff like that, because I think they bless it or something.
If it's a legit Ouija board, maybe, but
you can open a dark, no matter what it is, doesn't matter what you're trying to contact, you open a dark hole there.
But I'm sorry, the one that says made by Parker Brothers, I do not think
it's pink and purple.
Yeah, I do not think it has
no,
any
I'm talking
power whatsoever.
Like, but real blessed ones, I've seen one once in my life from a distance, and I'd never want to go near it ever. Well, the thing is because they're real ones like that are known to open, doesn't matter what it is, a dark. It will let anything in.
Well, the thing is, you're supposed to close the portal.
Yeah, no one does it right.
Well, it's because most of them get freaked out and run away.
Yeah. Which, if
problem.
That's what they used, then, well, I'm sure they didn't help their cause there. And the last thing on this, before we touch on, we'll go back into the details of things, is the Sally House safe to investigate? Don't let looks fool you. The house is extremely dangerous and can cause both physical and psychological harm. Tim Wood and his team can attest to the damage that the house has done to him and other investigators over the years. So, this is not a house to just go into and think, oh, I'm going to go ghost hunt. No, sorry. This is probably not where you want to go. But, leading back to, like...
Okay, so... I know just off memory, because like I said, this is a famous haunting. So,
yes.
And I've heard all the theories. So let's look at the theory that the show A Haunting presented. Because the show A Haunting always goes with one theory and just runs with it. It never... Okay, so I've heard the appendicitis one. And apparently, like, what happened with that one is the little girl had an appendicitis, and a doctor apparently lived at that house at the time, and he put her on the table, gave her like an anesthetic, and started cutting her, but the anesthetic didn't work, and she was still alive, and that killed her. Now, a haunting, and the first time I saw a haunting, this is the first time I heard this theory, that Sally was African American. And
yeah, I had heard that too.
And she was the product of a secret relationship between the doctor who lived at that house and one of his servants.
Which would explain why the information on her was so hard to find. Yeah. The headstone of hers was hard to understand or read until they could actually see that it was actually her, because that was very bad then. Like, if something like that happened,
it was scandalous.
So no wonder it's hard to find the information. So she does exist. So I really do think that was a truth there.
Yeah, according to A Haunting, like, the doctor and his servants started a relationship. They had a child, and that was Sally, which of course she had to stay upstairs and hidden away when he had patients come over. But then she, I believe, caught some kind of disease and ended up dying. I could have sworn there was a third theory, but it's out of it's
There was a theory.
escaping me.
I know there was a theory about the old woman, but it never really went anywhere.
The only theories I've heard about the older female spirit is either she was just there, or what a haunting said, and that it was Sally's mother.
Which it could have been, or another thing that I can think of would be one of his patients that died.
I mean, they've never been able to really put a name on her.
No, that's the one thing that's still left, is there's no name for her.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing, though. After they moved out, the Pickmans, like, yeah, they've done, like, public appearances. Like, they were on the haunting show, though, Tony appeared in silhouette. He
didn't want to be.
Yeah, where Deborah, she didn't care. But after, like, besides stuff like that, they've stayed out of the public eye. Like, they've kind of just went.
They told their story where they needed to, and left it. They didn't, because I know someone's like, oh, maybe they're just trying to make it up. No, they didn't make it up. They told their story. They told everything they experienced, and then they moved on with their lives.
Like, I don't think they've ever written a book about it or anything like all these others.
They just moved on with their life.
Yeah, you don't hear about them, like, at all.
Which is what you should do. I mean,
yeah. So
tell your experiences and.
So I won't say the haunting all in all is a fabrication. I think there might have been some parts of it that might have been blown out of proportion sometimes. Like, I know the scratching isn't, because he was legit.
There's pictures of it.
Yeah, he was legit on sightings with cuts all over him, and there was some video where you would see the cuts actually happen, like them appearing.
Like they would do a set picture where they would take like a burst mode where you'd take several pictures and you'd see them like.
Well, it was even caught on video camera, like, because he lifted his shirt up and you could see it forming, and he says, this is what she does when I upset her. I do, like, the problem is, if you go off of the show A Haunting, they do over dramatize a lot of stuff.
Some things, like, walking into a room in the daylight and it's like pitch black.
Well, I mean, Tony.
But that's like most ghost
Tony
shows.
confirmed that he did have violent tendencies to want to hurt his wife while they were in the house,
which he never had. Like, he had no explanation for them.
But who can say for sure what was really going on? Like, it was said that her being so, like, interested in it and him not being so interested kind of drove a wedge between them for a little bit. So, I mean, maybe he just got annoyed and just started lashing out. There was also, I remember...
But there was some key violent things that he said that was never anything he ever would have, done. Yeah. So it was unexplained.
One story that, like, I had never heard until I saw Haunting was that they were in bed one night and something grabbed him by the wrists and just jerked him up. And it had grabbed him so hard it left bruises on his wrists.
I think there was pictures of that somewhere too, which I couldn't find.
Like him coming home from work and trying to get some sleep, and something just tormenting him, not letting him sleep. It's really hard to say. Now, the whole pentagram thing, like, that's the first time I've heard of this. Like, I had never heard that until you started reading it.
Well, I had really started digging into this, and that's why when I was researching, I had really the theory, like, to go into the theories of it. I'm thinking, okay, well, I know they keep saying that it originated when they were in the house.
Yeah.
But
which kind of points to a poltergeist, but the fact that he actually saw an apparition, and apparitions don't happen in poltergeist hauntings, so I don't know. Maybe because when they first moved in, they hadn't had the baby yet.
No, and nothing was.
So maybe having the baby did something. I don't know.
Possible, but the thing is what I'm saying is that, it originated with them having it. Okay, well, here's the thing. This is what I said. Yeah, there is a huge gap from that first family on, and yes, there was no documented activity.
No, because people rented there. People lived there and
no
rented there.
Documented paranormal activity at all in the house. But the thing is where my theory is now, especially seeing that there was an actual pentagram on the floor. covered and stuff like that. I believe that whoever lived there before them did something and did put that on the floor. Obviously, it was covered. Thing is I'm wondering, because I mean, something had to have been covering it to begin with, because obviously they lived in the house. They obviously probably had stuff in the basement and they never saw it. So something was covering it to begin with. Not spray paint, but I mean, yeah, like
maybe
the things
like old furniture or something.
Yeah, something was
covering. Move it.
Yeah, there was things covering it. There's probably.
But then again, unless you keep your basement like really clean, dust and all
dirt
that's going to
and
build
dust on the floor would even cover
especially a house that old. I mean, it's been
because
there
it was
since...
originally it was black, so a dark cement floor is easy. You can easily cover black markings.
And I mean, if you're not looking for something like that, it's easy just to not see it.
Because it looked the way the
blood covered. Well, here I just got to think about that. At first, I had issue with the blood covered sweater. How could you not find that? But then again, that sweater was probably so old. It's not like it was fresh blood. So
no, it'd be old blood.
Yeah. So of course, I mean, they could have just seen a random sweater laying in the attic and not think anything about it.
Because it's not like it was soaked in blood.
Yeah.
So
I don't know why
I think it was across somewhere in the attic, and it would have been left. Kind of like, think about, like, I know, for example, a apartment house that we used to live in, and they had attics that were similar to that, where you had boards in the center, but you could see this, like, the insulation.
It's kind of like our attic here.
Yeah, you could see the insulation along the sides. Something can slip down into that little area, and you would never know it was gone. Like, you'd move out and not even realize you left it behind.
See, I don't know why I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking about a blood covered.
But in the closet, easily you clean it. The thing is if no one thought to use, for any reason, use luminol or anything,
I just wonder why
you'd never know.
Just wonder why there was blood splattered, like, in a closet. Unless, like,
that leads me still to believe that it was something before them.
I mean, unless someone committed suicide, but there'd be records of that.
Well, if it's anything to go with that pentagram, that's satanic and demonic. Like the way that they said that original pentagram was, it was a satanic one. And demonic, so nothing good could come from that. Like, it could have been animal blood for all we know. It could have been something. They could have been bad enough to sacrifice somebody.
It's kind of wild, because that show I was telling you, I was talking about with the skeptic and all that. When they went to that house, a woman lived there. I don't remember her name, because this show was aired like back in the 2000s or whatever. But she claimed nothing out of the ordinary was happening there. But here's the thing, though. They had a psychic with them, and she... it's kind of giving me goosebumps now thinking about this. She sensed something going on in the basement. The person living there, she would not let them go down to the basement. She refused. She wouldn't let them... She only allowed them into the living room. She wouldn't let them go beyond that. She refused to let them go investigate the basement.
That makes me wonder, because
it's kind of wild now that I'm thinking about
it. Here's my theory on that. Think about it, because I mean, it's been proven in other things that, yeah, she may say nothing's going on. Well, whatever that thing is, could be telling her or giving her that impression. Okay, well, nothing's wrong here, but don't let them go down there. Like.
Now you're getting
not
into,
like that.
Like,
well, no,
brainwashing or whatever.
Not exactly like that, but like the feelings you'd get. Like,
well, I mean, who knows? There could have not have.
She could have been controlled by something and not known.
I wouldn't say that. Maybe just nothing was going on while she was living there.
I can't think of the words though. But for her to say no, you can't. This is as far as you go.
Yeah.
There's something.
I mean, she could have just been a private person.
That too, but for not letting anyone go to the basement where she's the one that psychic felt something. I don't know. It doesn't add up.
Because, like, to me...
But if a psychic said that, then...
If there was... Here's the problem I have, though, with the whole satanic thing. If there was a pentagram down there originally, I wish there was a photo of it that existed before it got covered up. Because anybody could say, oh, there was a pentagram down there, but it's covered up. Okay.
Well, looking back at this picture of the newer one, like...
It looks kind of crudely drawn, to tell you the truth. Like someone done it in a hurry.
It would be done that way. Most of the ones I've seen are done like that. But
Oh, you looking up pentagrams?
I've watched enough shows to see them. But the way it is, I mean, yeah, it's all dark and stuff like that because that picture would have been taken in the dark. You can tell by what it is, but around the edges of it, you can see thicker black lines that something was there before it. But yeah, you can see that something was covered underneath it. So there was something originally there. The thing is my theory on why might not be an original picture of it
was because they covered it up before a picture.
Yeah, because
out.
It discovered it. They left, and when they'd come back again to investigate, somebody covered it up. Somebody knew about it.
I think it was just the new owner saw it, got freaked out, and
covered it. Yeah.
I wouldn't say someone snuck in there and covered it up or anything.
Well, no, I didn't mean that, but I mean, covering it's not going to do anything.
Here's the thing, though. Like, the tale of this haunting still has some holes. Like, not being able to confirm that there was ever a girl who existed that died there named Sally. You know, I don't think they've even been able to find a death certificate with that name.
She existed. Like I said, she existed, but we can't find anything on her, which leads to that theory that she was that product of that.
What mystifies me is that there was no reports of any kind of strange ghosts, which, I mean, there could have been. It's just that back in those days, people didn't report that stuff because they didn't want to be thought as crazy.
Yeah.
So there could have been. It's just that nobody said anything until the Pickmans did, because they got so desperate that they called people, or they might have wanted fame and fortune and decided they didn't want it after all, and that's why they're still kind of, you know, they don't really go on talk shows or anything or write books about their haunting story.
Well, from what I heard, you know, hearing the real people actually talk, when that stuff was happening, they were pretty terrified. Like,
I know he was. I think at some point she was kind of...
She was intrigued, but then it got to the point where it started almost harming the baby. Yeah. So then she realized, okay, this isn't good. That's when terror started hitting in for
Another
her.
part of this haunting that I find interesting is, it wasn't covered in the article, but it was covered in a haunting, and that was one of the teddy bears catching fire out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Now, apparently that is something that does take place in poltergeist haunting. Like, you could I forgot what the term is that poltergeist hauntings fall into, but it's an unproven science because they're still part of the human psyche and all that science still can't put a nail on. But apparently, yeah, you could... It's apparently possible that you could set something on fire with your mind without even realizing it. Now, is that what happened? I don't know. Like, when it comes to that kind of stuff, that's kind of out of my depth. I'm more just into straight up hauntings. But, yeah, the fact that apparently they were all, like, having a get together with some friends. One of the teddy bears that they had either bought for Sally or it was one of the babies was just sitting there, and
it was one of the ones for Sally.
And it just bursts into flame, like, just randomly, just out of nowhere. And apparently there were other witnesses to this besides the Pickmans, but, it's just, you know, and, like, you don't hear about this haunting much anymore, like, as far as, like, new stories, so...
Yeah, I've had a hard time finding even more newer... I mean, there is some newer information, it just wasn't in-depth enough for me to use for this, but, like I said, I mean, it's still hugely known as one of the most haunted houses in America,
yeah, and this is the first time that I've heard that it's considered dangerous to go there.
Yes, and actually I've seen that across a lot of them. Everyone says, you know, no, this isn't some fun ghost hunting house trip to go to. This is legit, like, a dangerous house to be in.
Yeah, like the only thing that comes off as a demonic haunting in the original haunting is the scratches, because that's one of the things that apparently happens in, like, demonic possession stuff is, like,
the unexplained forming scratches that you can't duplicate.
You hear scratches on the walls.
Which there's also video proof, though, of demonic sounds, like laughs, growls, things like that. And they've been captured in this house. It's, scary because the house around here has has that growl.
So let's just say this haunting is 100% legitimate, okay? I think what happened is either the people that were there first, either the haunting's always been there, just nobody reported it until the Pickmans, or the people who lived there before they did something, whether they were Satan worshippers or if they were just into witchcraft or something like that, if they were,
they opened a portal and didn't close
that,
it.
or they were like a newly
or this got screwed up.
or they were a newly practicing Wiccan and they screwed up and summoned something evil, or maybe the Pickmans caused it themselves. Maybe having the baby triggered something. Maybe they moved something they weren't supposed to. And originally it was just a little girl spirit, but then the negativity that Tony started feeling and the wedge between him and Deborah started.
That definitely brought out more of the other one.
Maybe it bred something more evil, and maybe Sally's not even there anymore. Or, it's all just a bunch of hogwash. Who knows? But apparently there is
proof of
evidence that's been caught. So
I really, for me, like I said, I really believe that it was something related to whoever was there just before them that caused the markings on the floor and everything. And it could be a number of those things, newly practiced. They opened something that they shouldn't have, or they didn't close it, or they were just that screwed up that they didn't.
I forgot. Did they say exactly when that pentagram was discovered? Like, was that after they moved out? Yes, okay, that was after.
So it was there the whole time. That's what I'm saying is, I've known even people to this day that they'll move into a house and there could be something in the basement and they would have never seen it because something could be covering it, or...
I just want to know who got in there and done another ritual and drew another pentagram, because they don't know who to this...
They don't, and the thing is though, after that current owner, time had obviously passed, so there was other renters.
Some kids snuck in there and did something
either when the house was for sale, and somebody snuck in and did it, or when if this house was... Because I know people had lived there from after that for a while. I don't think anyone does anymore.
Okay.
But somebody else got into the house, they knew of the house when they lived in there, living in the house, knew of the haunting that was there and decided to check it out for themselves.
It's either someone who lived there knew about the haunting,
or somebody snuck in.
Yeah, someone snuck in because they knew about the haunting, or someone just snuck in and as a prank drew a pentagram and left.
Back where it was.
Yeah, so...
But, you can see that there's dark markings. There was one there before. And it looks like it wasn't spray painted. The first time, the way that the black markings are to show the original... It looks like it was painted with a brush, or something, cloth, something. Because you can see the line here. It's thicker than the other one. So
what's that thing in the middle?
A book.
There? Okay.
Book, and it looks like candles.
Okay. I was gonna say, how did they know a ritual was definitely taken? But I guess a book and a burnt
it's just a book.
Yeah,
there. It's left there.
That's interesting.
So like I said, I believe that it was something for the people renting or owning the house just before the Pickmans, because that would have been there. And when they moved out, they easily could have just thrown something over it, or moved something that permanently stayed there over it, and you'd never even know. If you go to a basement, you're not going to stand there and look at the floor like this. A basement's a huge space, especially an unfinished basement with a cement floor. Anything could cover it.
Yeah,
especially since it was originally black, and then someone spray painted black completely over it. So,
yeah, that's I would say, I'll definitely say the place is haunted, but
I'd never go there.
I still can't really say what exactly is going on. I won't say it's satanic 100%. I won't say it's a poltergeist, but
I still think that there is a high possibility because of what the haunting had theorized about the little girl and the doctor and all that. Because the doctor's proven he lived there. So, I mean, that's completely written. But that little girl, the documentation of her, I really believe it was what's the word I'm looking for? A child that shouldn't have happened between a slave and
an accident.
Well, yeah, I guess.
That's all I know. Unplanned.
Well, yeah, but
unplanned pregnancy.
Well, in that time period, a slave and a white man. I mean, come on, that'd be taboo.
Yeah.
That's something like that I'm thinking of. But
back then, she probably would have been hung, and he probably would have been put in jail.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is I believe that is that could be a huge thing. Like, that would prove a lot of things.
Yeah.
Because she wouldn't have been allowed to be known.
I mean, I definitely I had seen plenty of stuff about this haunting before, but I learned some stuff in this that I never knew about the pentagram. Never knew about how all of a sudden it's a demonic haunting.
From what I know, this house it's not lived in ever. After a certain I can't remember the year because I couldn't find it, but I don't think anyone lives there anymore.
It's a pretty famous house. Like, I think a lot of ghost
I think
tours.
They stopped. Whoever owns it, and they won't let anybody live in it. So.
Well, I know a lot of ghost tours drive by it and all that. Like, they just drive by the place. They'll stop.
I think it might be fenced now. Yeah. I don't think you can really just go in anymore.
That's wild. Like, I didn't know that. I thought maybe people were still living in it.
I don't think so. From what I've seen, I don't think anyone's living in the house anymore.
I don't know. That's some creepy stuff. It's wild. What time are we at?
An hour.
Okay. Well, I think that's really all we've got for this episode. We've pretty much went over the whole haunting. We've went over the possibilities.
And a pretty good summarized theories of a lot of things, all the common things that keep happening to prove that pretty much this, and the details we know now, the new stuff, that it probably was just before them, if not. When you said that show you watched, The Psychic, that had said something about the basement, that's probably where it originated, was around that time, is when it was probably put on the floor.
Yeah. If you guys want to read the article that we used for this, the description will be in the link will be in the description.
Yeah, I will put any links that I have. I mean, I have other ones I'll include too that I know we've touched on. I'll put the episode and season of a haunting listed in there if I can't find a link to that. But pretty much all the information I have, I'll put links in there.
Yeah. So, hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Mysterious Darkness. The setting was pretty good. You know, we had a little bit of thunder. It's pouring down the rain outside.
The pup's probably not happy.
Next week's episode, I'm still trying to decide what the topic will be. So stay tuned. It'll be up either Saturday like normal, or we might just do Mondays from now on. But if you enjoyed the episode, please hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, hit the like button, leave us a comment. If there's a certain story or anything you'd want us to cover, please let us know, either in the comments or the email,
any of the social medias.
So yeah, this was about the Sally haunting. It's still creepy even to this day. Hope you guys enjoyed it. This is Kanan.
This is Jesse.
And this was Mysterious Darkness, and we will see you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.